One thing I did not want to do in this hero, in a thriller, was to put a gun in his hand. I wanted to avoid the classic situation in cinema where somebody just goes. Hi, my name is Kleber Mendonça Filho, and I wrote and directed The Secret Agent, which is being presented in competition here at the Cannes Film Festival.
É para completar? Pode ficar tranquilo, tá tudo em ordem aí. É para completar?
Rapaz. É para completar, mas. O que é aquilo ali?
Isso foi domingo. Um infeliz aí veio roubar uma lata de óleo com a peixeira na mão. A Rivanete, que é o menino que trabalha aqui à noite, pegou lá 12 e deu 2 TB. Uma na caixa dos peitos e outra na cara e não levantou mais.
The Secret Agent is a thriller set in 1977 in Brazil. It stars Wagner Moura, who plays a man who is running away from a very complicated recent past, and he goes up north to the city of Recife to be with his little son. But once he comes to Recife, things get very, very tense and nervous. The idea came from the desire to shoot a thriller, something that I hadn't quite done before. Neighboring Sounds was sometimes described as a thriller, and Bacurau, of course, but this one, I think, plays with a period. The film is set in 1977, so for me that is a really interesting exercise in thinking the details of the film and the period details and the things that I remember from when I was a child, because I was a little kid in the 1970s. The idea to do a period piece in a very complicated time in Brazil, which probably makes the film a political film, a strongly political film. The historic moment in Brazil in 1977, it was a very different atmosphere from the atmosphere we have today in Brazil, which is, today we are going back into democracy now after difficult years with the previous government. But in 1977, there was a very interesting, at least in terms of telling a story, a very interesting logic. There was the logic of being under oppression. So I remember as a kid, when I was a boy, noticing that the adults talking over there, they would suddenly lower their voices because they had to say something that you can't really say in a loud voice, So I really wanted to make the film having the logic of a very specific time. And part of that logic, of course, and unfortunately, is the fear of violence, because oppression works through violence.
Vai passar de 100, hein? Pode apostar.
De 100 mortos?
Oxi. Tá policial?
Eu não, sou policial.
Ó, a pinta de policial, cara.
Não sou policial.
I started to write the script for O Agente Secreto, The Secret Agent, L'Agent Secret, thinking about Wagner Moura. This is the first time that I do this. I might even write a script secretly thinking about one actor or an actress for smaller roles, but I never wrote the film for one person. And Wagner was a really interesting, a very interesting notion to think about, because I was very much aware of the types of roles he had played before. So I really wanted him to go somewhere different in this film. I wanted him to be very relatable, likable, and identifiable. It's the classic hero type. You follow him to understand what's happening to him in the film. It takes some time to understand, but you slowly put the pieces together, and it's through him. One thing I did not want to do in this hero, in a thriller, was to put a gun in his hand. I wanted to avoid the classic situation in cinema where somebody just goes. Even if he's not an agent of violence, he's still an interesting character and full of energy and full of life and passionate and loving, caring, and also capable of defending himself if it's needed. I had been following his work for many years, and he always impressed me as a really, really good actor. But not only a great actor, but he has a good, wonderful screen presence. He looks great on the camera, and he has authority, and he moves with authority inside the frame. But to make things even better, he's a really great person. He's a wonderful guy, And before this film, we kind of gravitated towards each other, phone calls, and sometimes we met someplace. And then I developed the film. I wrote the film thinking about him. And one day I decided to send him the script. And his reaction was very, very strong. And here we are in Cannes showing the film. And I'm very happy with Wagner's work in the film. I hope the film is good for him, brings him many rewards,
Euclides Oliveira Cavalcante, suas ordens.
Marcelo.
Marcelo de quê?
Alves.
Marcelo Alves. Nome de policial.
Eu sou policial.